running out of time. I want to get a final thought from Nouri al-Mismari. Mr. al-Mismari, does it embarrass or shame you that Libya, it seems, is forever synonymous with Muammar al-Gaddafi and that he is the chief symbol of the nation?
Well, first of all, I would like just to say something before. I do agree 100% of what Mr. Mohammed Ali Abdullah was saying. There is no civil war in Libya. If there will be Libyan against Libyan, it's only for the simple reason will be Libyans, the pure Libyans of the people, against the supporter, which they were fighting and struggling for their survival, so not to be judged when he falls down. So as he said to you, Sulaiman Mahmoud, General Sulaiman Mahmoud, and Mustafa, the Minister of Justice, and Abdul Fattah Yunus, the Commander-in-Chief of the commandos and paratroopers, and he was a Minister of Interior, they left. They were not talking about their tribes. They were talking about Libya. We are never divided. There never have been or never happened in the history that Libyans were against Libyans. That will never happen again. But that he's trying to do to divide us so he can be in power. But this will not happen. But I feel very, very ashamed to have such a leader killing his people with mercenaries. There is I mean, why, what for? Just to be in the power? He said, I am not in power. Why he doesn't go down? As Mr. Muhammad Ali was saying, enough is enough.
Okay.
You must step down.
Okay.
If you ask me to step down, I will step down.
Mr. al-Mismari, on that note, we'll leave it there. We have run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us from Paris, Nouri al-Mismari and Muhammad Ali Abdullah from London. It was a great pleasure speaking to both of you, gentlemen. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. As always, we welcome your comments, your suggestions, or your questions. You can email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye-bye.
It is in the details. A look. A connection. The moments that reveal the truth. Award-winning documentaries from critically acclaimed filmmakers. Witness documentaries to open your eyes. At this time on Al Jazeera.
On the next Riz Khan show, is the pen mightier than the sword? Can literature inspire revolutions? And what role do artists and intellectuals play on the front line of popular uprisings? Riz Khan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
14 competing teams, 13 different venues, 3 host nations. Cricket is part of the fabric of life here, and this competition is the pinnacle of the one-day game. We'll be bringing you all the action and reaction from India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. The Cricket World Cup on Al Jazeera.
All the news, all the time. aljazeera.net/English.
Rhythms of resistance.
A part of the struggle, and popular resistance is art. Through my art, I resist. Resistance is my art, and my art is my war.
Musicians using music as a way to maintain their cultural identity.
I believe that when I sing to the world, I portray Palestine through my voice, my singing, and my songs.
Songs from the lost homeland. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera focused on political turmoil.
Security presence is very high.
We focused on those fighting for their cause and those fighting for survival.
He was shot with a gun.
On the sharing of power and the taking of land. We focused on the deep seas and the dunes of the desert plains. Throughout Africa, we focus on news and documentaries that matter to you. Al Jazeera, television that truly inspires.
Colonel Gaddafi struggles to hold on to western cities amid reports the east is in the hands of protesters. 1 GMT, 3 a.m. in Libya. I'm Darine Abu Gaida. You're watching Al Jazeera with live and continuing coverage of the uprising in Libya.
The suffering and bloodshed is outrageous, and it is unacceptable.
Barack Obama steps up the criticism of the crackdown in Libya. The Libyan connection, companies around the world under pressure to come clean about their dealings with Tripoli. And a lucky survivor, a woman pulled out of the rubble of New Zealand's earthquake. Hundreds of others are still missing. 3 a.m. in Libya, and resolve remains strong amongst protesters trying to get rid of the leader, Muammar Gaddafi. Just as strong as their leader's resolve not to go anywhere. Let's bring you up to date with the latest developments now. And the U.S. President, Barack Obama, has spoken publicly about Libya for the first time. He says that he's asked his administration to prepare all available options to respond to the crisis. This, as we're getting reports that the first western city of Misurata is under control of protesters. Now, we can't verify these claims, but according to a witness, 6 people were killed and 200 injured in the city, which lies about 120 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli. Italy, meanwhile, says claims that 1,000 people have been killed in Libya are credible. The country's foreign minister, Franco Frattini, expects that up to 300,000 refugees will head to Italy, and he's described it as an exodus of biblical proportions. So that's what's happening. But as we mentioned, the U.S. president has spoken out about the crisis. Let's listen to some of what he had to say.
Like all governments, the Libyan government has a responsibility to refrain from violence, to allow humanitarian assistance to reach those in need, and to respect the rights of its people. It must be held accountable for its failure to meet those responsibilities and face the cost of continued violations of human rights.
Just a taste of what President Barack Obama said earlier on this evening. And let's bring in our Rosalind Jordan now from Washington. Rosalind, what more did he say?
Well, the president also said that he has asked his entire administration to examine and to prepare a list of a full range of options which the U.S. would undertake against Libya, either by itself or in concert with other countries. Certainly the administration's preference is to do things in tandem with other nations, notably because, as senior administration officials noted throughout the day here on Wednesday, the U.S. does not have as much leverage or as much influence or as close relations as other countries might have. And so it's looking for a lot of cooperation and some leverage in order to get Muammar Gaddafi to stop the bloodshed of his people.
All right, Rosalind Jordan there from Washington. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Muammar Gaddafi seems to be fast losing control, with reports that the first western city of Misurata is now under protesters' control. Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, has called on Libyans across the country to come together to fight in what he calls a national battle. Charles Stratford wraps up the events from Libya.
Muammar Gaddafi may have threatened protesters with death.